Hello, hello! Now we're going to talk about the grade 10 curriculum guide. And we're going to start off with first quarter. But first, I'm just going to talk about its learning competency and maybe a little bit of the code. If you don't know how to read the code, the first one is the subject. This number here is the grade level. The one here is the topic content. We're in patterns in algebra. If it's geometry, it's going to be GE. Then the Roman numeral here talks about the quarter. The lowercase here talks about the week. So we have 1 week to discuss this particular competency. And finally, the number here is indicating the competency level. Okay, so a little bit of a comment. First quarter of mathematics is always the heaviest because there's a lot of competencies that are to be discussed. Second, third, and fourth quarter, not much because usually you will have your school events there. Well, in any case, let's now start. For the grade 10, first quarter mathematics, the learning competency. So I'm going to make a video for each of the competency, maybe one or two, depending on how heavy the competency is, right? This one. So the first one would be generating patterns. So this is like relearning multiplication. So like the multiplicities of 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, that's a pattern. And then we're going to shove it down here in arithmetic sequence where basically we are going now to put algebra in it, right? And then we're going to determine the arithmetic means and the nth term of an arithmetic sequence. This will be all clear once I get to a video of this. And we're going to find the sum of terms given a arithmetic sequence. So the general topic for all of this is the arithmetic sequence. Then we're going to move on to geometric sequence, right? And then, of course, we're going to differentiate the both of them. What is the difference between geometric and arithmetic? And number 6 video will talk about that. Again, then we're going to differentiate the finite sequence from an infinite sequence, right? And then determine geometric means and nth term of a geometric sequence. Kinda same as this, only it's geometric sequence. Then find the sum of the given terms. Find the sum of the terms of a given finite or infinite geometric. Then we're going to see the other sequences like harmonic, the Fibonacci, and so on. And of course, we are always going to solve problems involving sequences. If we learn a topic, of course, we're going to solve it. And now we are going to talk about a new topic, which is performing divisions of polynomials using long division and synthetic division. So this is a long one. I might separate this into two. Then we have this one, proving. Proving is quite a bane of existence for students. So let's go through this one by one. The remainder theorem and the factor theorem. The remainder theorem is basically like the division only in algebraic form. I'll show you in one of the insight video. Then we're going to factor polynomials. And in this one, I like how in this was just factor polynomials. And when you're in grade 9, it's factor polynomials. You have your common ones, your quadrilaterals, and so on and so forth. Then we're going to illustrate polynomial equations. And of course, prove rational root theorem. And of course, the last two would be solving. First one would be equations. Second one would be word problems. And a total of 18 or more videos would be on the first quarter. If you want to read it, just pause the video. Okay, now we move on to the second quarter. Second quarter will just have 3 competencies for maybe 3 topics for patterns in algebra before we jump into geometry. So this should have been in the first quarter, but maybe it's just a little bit too much now. So we're now going to illustrate polynomial functions, and we're going to graph those polynomial functions, and of course we're going to solve those polynomial functions. It's your 1, 2, 3 punch in mathematics. Illustrate, graph, and solve. And then we jump to geometry. Now, you've learned in your grade 7 about triangles, grade 8 about proving, grade 9 about quadrilaterals. Now, in your grade 10, it would be circles. And there is going to be a lot of things that we're going to talk about, because you can put triangles, quadrilaterals inside the circle or vice versa. So we're going to derive inductively the relations among chords, arcs, central angles, and inscribed angles. So this is just your terminologies. Then we're going to prove theorems related to chords, arcs, central angles, and inscribed angles. This is going to be fun. Oh, then we're going to illustrate secants, tangents, segments, and sectors of a circle. I might since secants and tangents are also in trigonometry, or also names in trigonometry, I might show you some also. And then we're going to prove theorems on secants, tangents, and segments. Of course, illustrate, then prove, then solve, of course. Then we're going to derive the distance formula. Very important. You need to memorize this distance formula for a lot of cases. And we're going to apply the distance formula, illustrate the center radius form of the equation of a circle. Oh yeah, this is quite fun. This is algebra through and through. Determines the center of the radius of a circle given its equation and vice versa. Graphs, and then finally solve. Okay, so that's your geometry. It's all in the second quarter. And for the third quarter, we're going to jump to statistics and probability. Mostly in your final year of junior high, you would start with a baby research. So statistics and probability, most likely the final thing that you're going to do for this is research. It would be paired up maybe with science or English. So it's 3 subjects in one. You're going to do research. In any case, let's start now with the permutation of objects. And if you're not familiar with your fundamental principles of counting, which is probability grades, and now grade 8, then you're going to have a hard time here. So most likely you would have to review that before you enter the permutation of object and derive the formula of finding the number of permutation of n objects taken r at a time. I'll explain this when we get there. And of course, we're going to solve those permutations, and then we go to combinations. Permutations and combinations, the bread and butter of probability. Differentiate the permutation from combination from this one, then we have to derive, then of course solve, and of course, now we go to this one. My little complaint here is that you illustrate events, union intersection of events. The only time you uh you got to this topic is on your very first topic in mathematics in your high school. If you remember your union and intersection of events, your Venn diagrams. And it's all the way back to grade 7. Then we won't talk about it for like 3 years, and then bam, it's here on your 10th grade. So we're going to have a little bit of review. Illustrate the probability of a union of two events. Find the probability of A union B. Illustrates mutually exclusive events. And then, of course, finally, we're going to solve problems. It's always going to be solving problems at the end. Once we solve the problems and you've mastered it, it's going to be a new topic. And in this case, a new quarter. We're still in statistics and probability. And we are now going to illustrate the measures of positions, quartiles, deciles, and percentiles, which is a big case in your research. Well, it depends on the nature of your research. I won't talk about it here, but I'll show you how to calculate the specified measure of position. in quartiles, deciles, and percentiles. Basically, all of this competency is about these three: quartiles, deciles, and percentiles. And you have to memorize, well, not really memorize, you just need to understand the equation and you'll get it. And here it is, the mini research. Formulate statistical mini research, and uses appropriate measures of position and other statistical methods in analyzing and research data. This is basically also solving some. I believe that's the last one. And after you survive that, congratulations on finishing your junior high. Now you get to your senior high. In any case, this is your fourth quarter. It's quite a few, but actually this is heavy also because you have that mini research there. It's going to be a bane on a lot of students. And then your third quarter, second quarter, then back to your first quarter. In any case, thank you so much, and I'll see you then.